Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday, which means that it's time to talk about more terrible Star Trek. I am your host, Matthew Kadish, the producer of the Salty Nerd podcast, and I have a lot to say about episode 9 of Star Trek Picard, and none of it's good, so it should be an interesting discussion. With me, as always, is my expert Saturday Star Trek panel, -2, who shall be joining us eventually. They'll get around to it. But I'd like to introduce my plucky sidekick, Matt Vader 74. How you doing, buddy?
What'd you just call me?
Plucky sidekick.
No.
Plucky?
Never, ever do that again.
Yeah, he's not plucky.
I'm far
He's
from
kinda
plucky.
He's a little plucky.
No. Dude, I'm glad you have a lot to say because I don't think I do. I think I'm just broken. I'm over this stupid show. If it wasn't for this show we do Saturday mornings, I wouldn't watch it. I'm just over it. It sucks. It's bad. Kurtzman can kiss my fat white ass and moving on. Let's go. Michael, how are you?
I'm doing well. Better than you, obviously.
God, this show sucks. It's
here's the beauty of it is that when you get that tattoo, you could have Kurtzman kiss it and make it feel better.
Yeah, that would be good.
So I can't wait to see that tattoo, by the way.
If we get to 10,000 by the 4th of July, you'll be able to see it get put on my butt live.
Yeah,
so that'll be interesting.
That is a live stream I will do super chats for. And I will tell you, I am definitely a stingy bastard. So yeah, I don't do super chats. So yeah, I will say this was not the strongest episode, but I didn't hate it. And I thought that the new Girardi Borg hybrid thing was interesting. And we're obviously wrapping things up next next episode, and I think it's going in the direction that I was kind of predicting, where it's going to end up back where we started.
This is indeed the penultimate episode, so we only have one more episode after this one. And Michael, we're going to have to revoke the salty from your name because you're just not
I know, what's the deal? I thought I really wanted
to...
Well, me and Brian hasn't been hating on it either.
I don't think Brian liked this episode either.
Well, it was funny because I was actually tweeting in a group, or I shouldn't say tweeting, I was texting in a group chat with Vader and Brian as I was watching the show. And I just kept venting to them. And it was like past midnight or like
I was trying to go to sleep, dude. I just got home from work.
Don't get me wrong. There are things I can vent about in the episode. I mean, because this is definitely not great Trek, but I'm just not saying that because I guess I'm like trying to see things on a relativistic scale, if you will. Like if you compare this to what we were getting a couple of years ago with the first season of Discovery, this is so much better. And
what? And I don't know if I agree with that.
Oh, I definitely think it's way better than what we're getting in early Discovery.
Well, we're getting someone in the chat named Smudboy, who's a buddy of mine on Twitter, and he's challenging you. He says, "Give me one piece of media worse than Star Trek Picard episode 9."
Star Trek Discovery episode 1. Mic drop. I mean, come on, where they actually turned the Vulcans into warmongers? Come on.
The Vulcans.
I don't know with the Vulcan hello. Oh yeah, first thing you do is
Yeah.
shoot first. That's what we do. We're the Vulcans. keep America great. I mean, what was-
America.
yeah.
All right. So before we get into my nitpicks about this episode, I want to go around the panel and get overall general thoughts. Of
Can you go
episode
around
9.
a triangle?
Yes, you can. 3
It
points.
doesn't seem like that's a round.
Matt Vader, what did you think of episode 9 entitled Hide and Seek?
I thought it was really dumb. I thought it was dumb. There's a thing called teleporter technology that would have just solved this entire episode, and they have access to more than one type of teleporter technology in this thing. It's just stupid. Teleporting people into walls, green lasers instead of red lasers. It just, the list goes on and on and on. It was bad, dude. It was just bad, and the story doesn't make any sense to me.
Wait, you were mad because it's green lasers?
No, I wasn't mad. It just, lasers are supposed to be red, and they made them green just because they're old-fashioned Borgs, I guess. I don't know. It just seemed weird.
I've seen green lasers on sites before. And
it's not a huge bitch, but it just was very silly to me. Just a lot of dumb. Just a lot of dumb in this show, dude. I don't know what else to say.
Speaking of a lot of dumb, we now have our other panelists joining us. Brian from the Popcast. Good morning, buddy.
Wow.
Oh, the burns are real.
That was
up,
mean.
lads?
That was just mean.
It's okay. It's okay. I give it. Hey, Mike, after the show, I got to talk to you about a theory that I don't trust myself on.
What, you want my advice on it?
I think you're the only person I know personally that knows more about Trek than I do. So.
Oh, man. You know what? That's very kind of you.
Oh, well, speaking about knowing Trek, Michael, why don't you tell us what you thought of this episode, just your general thoughts?
Well, like I said, I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was horrible like Vader. I didn't lose my lunch or anything. But I think certain plot elements came together. The fact that Picard used the tunnels to escape, that made sense given the early years psychological trauma crap that they dealt with. Okay, fine. Reuse that bit. I think that little nitpicks like the fact that the sites had green lasers. Well, of course they're Borg.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the thing.
That was cool looking.
Yeah, so I would expect something like that.
They could have at least made them look a little Borgish. They just had commandos running through with that she allegedly assimilated.
Yeah.
Well, which is weird because in the last episode she just goes into a room full of commandos and sticks her fingers in one of them. And are this whole room of 30 commandos just going to go, oh yeah, sure, lady, just come in and stick your stupid nanoprobes in me. That's no problem at all. So yeah, it was weird. It was strange.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Brian, I've watched your massive review of the episode already, so I kind of know your thoughts.
Long, right?
But why don't you share your general thoughts of episode 9 with us?
Yeah. There's a lot of problems with this episode. Generally, at least there's a lot of fun parts too. I did not like the fact the whole catacomb thing was. It's weird how we're one episode away from the very last episode, and we're still doing flashback sequences and stuff like that. It's driving me nuts, man. Because if I have to see that little kid's face one more time, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Mama.
Oh God. And we knew she was gonna hang herself. We get it. We knew she was gonna kill herself. I just figured, and Shane brought this up, if you're gonna kill yourself, do it in a way that didn't require him to open the door. But then again, I don't care about the storyline at all. So I just want to get to the good stuff. Now there was some good stuff, and there was some really stupid stuff too, to be honest. I love Girardi's Borg Queen. I think she's awesome. I do.
Yeah, I like that a lot too.
Yeah. And I like the way they brought Elnor back. I thought that was cool. then it's weird. It's like, oh, here, bring him back in this really cool way that makes sense, and like it's such a Trek way to bring someone back to the show, and then like completely ignore like the fact that he's a hologram in every way. And at first it was nitpicky the first time, and then it was like, oh, okay, so they're just acting like this is just a regular physics thing. That was frustrating.
I do have a question about the hologram, the Elnor hologram.
Yeah, what?
Why is it that when he's inside the Lost Arena, he's got a mobile emitter on?
No. The Lost Arena isn't a mobile emitter. It's the whole ship.
He was wearing a mobile emitter.
Well, that's very odd because the entire ship, we established this in Picard.
I know. It's got hollow projectors everywhere because the Lost Arena has a holographic crew. But when he first in the scene, because I just rewatched it right before this show, and when Rafi sees him and is all excited that he's there, you can clearly see on his shoulder a mobile emitter.
Huh.
And I was like, why is he wearing a mobile emitter? He's in the ship.
Yeah, the writers don't know even their own silly rules to what they do to this show. So.
Yeah, I don't even understand.
Is it a holographic mobile emitter? It's like.
But did they even establish that they had a mobile emitters in that time?
No.
It would make sense that once Seven got back from the Delta Quadrant, that they would like learn, reverse engineer it and make it a common thing to have.
I guess.
I'm wondering why we're spending so much time on a 90-year-old man's childhood trauma.
Yeah, no, that part honestly, I'm so tired of the flashbacks, dude. I'm so tired of the flashbacks.
Well, we'll talk about the flashback, but I just think it seems odd that a guy who's so late into his life is still dealing with childhood trauma, especially considering all the stuff that Picard has been through.
Now, I think the way they did it, though, I would have redone the hanging scene just a little bit, because you notice that the way that she hung herself, she just wrapped the rope around her neck a couple of times and then kicked out the step ladder. So here's how I would have done it. And they did it in the very classy slow motion style, right? Which is how they do everything these days.
Right.
So here's how you do it. You have Jean-Luc open the door just as she kicks out the step ladder, right? And then in super slow motion, you see her body start to go down, and then you see the ropes unravel around her neck because that's not a noose, and she spins around like a kung fu fighter like 3 times as she spirals down towards the ground, and then in super slow motion she lands head first on the ground, her neck snaps and her face like compresses against the ground, and
Jesus.
Just
that's really dark
everywhere. Yeah, I think that's how they should have done
it. And her broken neck falls at the feet of Mama.
Yeah, and her eyeball like rolls out, and then
one eye is open.
And like the eye is like staring up at Jean-Luc, and then
the hair falls to the side, and it's revealed she's a Romulan.
Yeah,
right. And Picard says, "Mama."
Yeah.
All right, guys, we have our final panelists around Danny the Dork Knight coming to us from whereabouts unknown.
Hey, guys, sorry. Yeah, I'm actually coming to you live from Brad's Toys in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm here with my charity, the Las Vegas cosplayers.
Find the right action.
Right?
I'm going to mute him every time he shills something.
Hey, why is your mic so much better there than at home?
I don't, because I'm closer to it. It's the same mic. I just
notice the way he stroked it there. That was like.
Anyway, Danny, we're giving our general thoughts of episode 9, the penultimate episode of season 2 of Picard.
Penultimate. Okay.
Yes. So, what are your thoughts of Hide and Seek, aka episode 9, aka the worst episode of Star Trek ever written?
Hey, you guys probably already mentioned it, but you guys remember that episode from season 1? I think it was called Where No One Has Gone Before, where Picard's mom shows up and she's like old, drinking tea with him.
Yeah.
So, and then there's that other episode with Picard's dad where he's old and bald. I just feel like the writers of this show have like never watched TNG. You know what I mean? Because they're just oh, hey Amanda, thanks for the super chat. Super chat.
Yes, Broken Birds for $5. Stay salty, my friends. Thank you, Broken
Always,
Birds.
always.
I don't I say this every week. I sound like a broken record. If I wasn't doing this show, I wouldn't be watching Picard anymore. It's heartbreaking. None of it makes sense, not to me. Like none of it, just none of it. And like why like gosh, I'd rather just I miss the I know it was more work for you, but I like the format better when you kept us like on structure and we talked about specific points, because I was
we're going to be doing that.
Oh,
We're
okay.
just
Getting
getting
into that, bro.
your general thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, my general thoughts was this was a steaming hot pile of garbage, and I'm so glad that the
Oh,
next
surprise,
episode
surprise.
is the finale. Yeah. So
All
There
right.
you
So
go.
speaking of specific points, I'm going to go through every single point that while I was watching the episode, I was like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me!"
But real quick before you
Sound
do,
like me.
there's something I have to say, and it's just
Yes.
because the situation finally came up. So Matt Vader, please do not move a muscle. All right. So and then if you don't mind,
You're not gonna do something dumb, right?
no,
You're probably
not at all. And Matthew, if you wouldn't mind. Yep, there he is, starring in his own movie. That is a still from the movie Killer Sofa.
Oh,
So
boy.
just
Oh
there
yeah,
you go.
we actually reviewed
Oh,
that
hold-
on the
hold-
Salty
hold
Bear
on.
Yeah,
podcast.
so there he is.
I even got. There we go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you got
You're-
the glasses. There we go.
Oh, you're famous, bro. Look
Yeah,
at
Yeah,
you.
we watched Killer Sofa on Mystery Movie Nights with Matthew last night, so I just thought I'd share that. Okay, so
Yeah, if anyone wants to check out our inanimate object horror episode,
you talked about Killer Sofa.
we talked about Killer Sofa. We talked about Slacks, which is about a pair of killer jeans. And we
Ooh.
also talked about Hair, which is a
killer
story
wig?
about a haunted weave. Of a
Oh,
black
a
woman.
haunted weave.
All right. Well, really
Better.
quick. Mercer Create is going insane, but at least we got $2 out of him. So he's mentioned this like 5 times in the chat up above. Does anybody want to address it? That the
Mercer
ship is
Crate
not
for
the same one?
$2. La Serena is not the same one as in season 1. It's an alternate timeline from the Confederation.
You didn't let me do mine. Super chat.
Which
Yeah,
is
be on
why
top of it, Danny.
which is why the holographic technology is different, and he has a mobile emitter when he comes out of the holotubes or whatever.
That
Yeah, I
must be
noticed
it.
that.
So that must be it. Yes, you're
But,
correct.
but wait a minute.
Mystery
So, like,
solved.
so like, wouldn't the holographic mobile emitter be a hologram? Like,
Yeah, I know
it's not
that's
like it's not like the ship
Yeah.
replicated a mobile emitter for him.
Right. I
put
don't
on.
understand why there was so much wrong with this episode. One,
It's
why
like,
he
yeah.
had a hollow emitter. 2, why he's running away. He's a freaking hologram.
Yeah,
Bullets
we're-
and shit.
yeah. Why would he
Yeah,
just
we'll
become?
we'll get there, we'll get there.
intangible?
Okay, sorry.
We're going to get to all this stuff. But the first thing and the most egregious sin that this episode committed is the teleporter technology.
Oh, hey, come here.
Here.
Say hi. Sorry.
It-
So, hey, don't mute me. I know he said every time I shill. Get on this side over here, Stace. So this is one of the cosplayers. Wrong side, other side. This is one of the cosplayers. She's doing Black Widow here for Brad's Toys and the Las Vegas Cosplayers
Well,
Alliance.
you are really bad at this.
I am bad at this because I'm not good at the mirror thing. There, is it better?
Are you
there?
purposely
Okay.
blocking her? I don't get
Yeah,
it.
it's like
No,
it seems like
I'm
every
not.
time
Happening
she
right
moves,
now.
you're blocking
Yeah,
her
there
on
we go.
purpose.
Just put her on TV and you go.
Yeah,
Fuck
yeah,
off
Danny.
somewhere.
We don't want to see you. We don't want to see her.
No, well, but all those people would rather see her than me, so it's all good.
Yeah.
All right, no,
Yeah.
all right, thank you. Go. Raise this line. Go. All right.
All right. So when I was watching this episode, they established in episode 8 that everything hinges on the control of the La Serena, right? And
Yeah.
Picard and his crew, they're like, we're going to go to Not Laris. We're going to use her teleporter to get there. And Girardi's like, well, I've already injected the La Serena with my, what do you call it, Borg nanoprobe. So I
Borg
control
juice.
it, and I control the teleporters. And so basically, it was a race to get to the La Serena to take control of it. Obviously, Girardi gets there first, and she teleports in all of her assimilated mercenaries. And when Picard shows up, not moments later, they teleport to the chateau. And the entire time that this episode's going on, I'm like, why didn't they just teleport to the La Serena.
Because they
And
knew
then-
she was already in the La Serena.
Well, hold
Yeah.
on. But I mean, like, the whole point was to get like if they didn't know that Girardi was going to be there, like running interference for them, this episode would have been over in like 2 minutes because the
You just
Borg
answered
would
your own
just-
question,
would
bro.
have just take guys, please let me finish. The Borg Queen would have just taken over the ship, and they had no idea that Girardi was fighting back, right? So the whole point was to get to the La Serena in order to prevent the Borg Queen from taking it over. So teleporting to the chateau, right, like 500 feet like away from where they're supposed to be, gives the Borg Queen time to just take over the ship and fly away. So even though that the Borg Queen was on the ship, they would want to be on the ship in order to fight back against her. And then the entire episode, I'm like, why are you running in the catacombs? Why are you running through the field against a group full of mercenaries? You literally have teleporter technology. And the excuse to be like, oh, we can't activate it because then Rios will be putting his life at danger. It's like, all your lives are at danger. The entire fate of humanity is in jeopardy. Picard would never sacrifice his tactical advantage in order to protect the life of one crew member, especially after we saw what happened with Elnor early on in the season. This entire episode hinged on a lot of stupid decisions that didn't make any sense other than the fact that they needed a reason to create the drama and have Picard go through the catacombs and all this other stuff. So it was all fake and manufactured to me. The entire episode was so stupid because of this one plot point. They had access to a teleporter. They didn't use it. And every single scene that they didn't use the teleporter drove me fucking crazy. Okay. So I wanted to get your guys' take on this. Matt Vader, let's start with you. What was your take on that?
Yeah, it's like excuse me. It's like I already said. The lack of perception for the technology that they have access to from the people creating this show is really just beyond dumb. I mean, they needed to come up with another way to do whatever it was they were doing, because there's too many people out there like you and us and Star Trek fans that can see right through this stuff. It's just terrible, poor plot point writing. It's not good. I don't know what else to really say about it. So,
all right, Brian, you were part of the live text group that I was texting as I was raging while watching this episode.
Yeah.
What was your take on why they couldn't just use Not Laris' teleporter to basically save their lives, protect, advance in their mission, and actually try to accomplish something for a change?
Yeah, this one's really easy, man. So they didn't want to TP into the ship because they weren't aware of what was going on yet. Rios knew the Borg were coming. I'm sure he probably told them. So they TP outside the ship, get the lay of the land. And then they send Rios and Step family back, and Picard says to shut the teleporter down. Sorry, a teleporter. I'm a gamer. I say TP for some reason. The teleporter down, and Not Laris does so. Now, that's the reasoning as to why they can't just use said teleporter to move around.
Well, let me ask you this, though,
But it's
right?
a stupid reason. It is a stupid reason. She could just turn it back on. I get it.
Why couldn't Not Laris just mind control one of the Borgs on the ship, have him shoot all the other guys, and then teleport them in, teleport Girardi off, take the ship up so that she can't get to it?
I legitimately don't know how her mind powers work or whatever, so I couldn't answer you.
Okay.
I really couldn't.
And you're assuming your mind control powers can override Borg nanoprobes.
Well, I mean, we're assuming a lot, right? But like, they never bothered to establish, what her powers are. So I'm wondering, like, why couldn't she at least attempt to do it and be like, oh, it failed because the Borg Queen, like, whatever. But like that was something that was going through my head. It was like, if they can't get on the ship because there are mercenaries on the ship, number one, why can't she mind control one of them or all of them? And
That's a pretty big risk.
And
if it
number
doesn't
two, why can't she just teleport those guys out of there using her teleporter?
Well, because she shut the teleporter down.
But I mean, let's say she didn't. What if she used her teleporter to actually accomplish the mission, right?
Right, but in the story, she shut it down, and who knows? Maybe it's like her face hologram tech, and once you shut it down, it takes time.
Also, yeah, it takes 8 hours after. So like
whatever,
Rios
yeah.
was gone for 8 hours before like he came back.
It's like Cialis, you can only take it so often.
Yeah. But the point here was that so like they had her shut down her teleporter because they needed a reason for her not to use it. And it was the dumbest fucking reason they could have come up with, especially considering that the fate of the entire galaxy is at stake. Like, there's no way Picard would have had her shut that down to save Rios. He would have been like, Rios, come back when you're fixed and help us out. But we're going to be using this teleporter to get our mission done.
I mean, I agree. I agree with you. That was dumb. I was just giving you the reason they gave us. The in-canon, in-story reason was that, even though it's a dumb reason.
But I mean, like not teleporting to the ship in the first place, I think was dumb.
I don't think so.
I'm pretty
you don't know what's on the ship. You don't know what's on the ship, though. So like teleporting there would be a bad idea.
Why?
I mean, they didn't know what was at the chateau either. But
exactly.
This is semantics, because like if you teleport onto the ship, which is the thing you're trying to prevent the Borg Queen from getting, that makes way more sense. Like if there's something on the ship that's like bad, then they could be like, okay, let's teleport off and get to safety or like whatever. But the whole point was to take control of the La Serena. So that
I know. Real quick though, someone else here was in the military, right?
I was in the army.
Yeah, I was in the army too, and I was airborne. And when you're jumping to a location, you don't jump to the location you plan to be at. You jump outside the location and slowly make your way into said
Tell
location.
that to the Borg Queen.
The Borg Queen don't give an F, dude.
Well, you have to remember that Picard had Seven and Rafi who can take on an entire field of mercenaries with automatic weapons. Like, those guys stood no chance at all. Okay. So.
I think them TPing to the chateau instead of the ship is
from a military standpoint, what they did made sense.
You know what's cool about being at a
teleport
toy store?
You teleport into a safe location, and there he goes. He is just having all sorts of trouble. But you teleport into a safe location and then make your way into the target location. And the chateau was not, nobody was interested in the chateau. The Borg Queen was not going to entrench herself in the chateau. And so you teleport into the chateau and then make your way into the La Serena. If the Queen had not made her way to the La Serena, it would be a quick run to the La Serena. If the Queen was in the La Serena, well, now you establish a perimeter around it and try to take the La Serena, which is what happened.
Again, a lot of this stuff I feel is like headcanon justification for just bad writing.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Matt.
I feel the same way. It's all headcanon, bad writing stuff. But I know you guys were in the army, and Brian, you were telling us about tactics and everything. But the army doesn't have teleporters, and if the army had teleporters, the tactics would be way different. Don't you?
No, you're right. But like, I in my mind, I'm looking at it the same way as when you're shooting to a location, when you're jumping out of a plane, right? Mm-hmm. If say you need to be at this location A, you're not going to parachute directly to location A. You're going to parachute away. You're going to jump away from location A, then make your way on foot safely
to a safe location, to where the enemy isn't, so that you can get to location A.
Because you're vulnerable when you first get there.
No, I get that. I understand that, but I don't know. It just and it's hard to compare real world stuff to science fiction, fantasy.
Well, you just think of the parachute act as the teleporter. The whole teleporter argument kind of blew my mind this week, because I was thinking about how a lot of stuff would change if we had Star Trek teleporter technology. There wouldn't be any wars. People would just be able to, if you got mad at somebody and you had a teleporter, you could just beam them out and not beam them back in. Kill them in the buffer. Same way with the, it was the scene where Seven, and I'm probably jumping ahead a little bit, but the scene where Seven teleported the drones into the wall was just really super strange to me. Number one, because why did she put him into a wall 2 feet away from Picard? Number one, but why didn't she just
teleport them out and let them dissolve in the buffer. I mean that's
because
what
Seven,
I'm saying. It's silly. It's just
we've
very strange.
established in season 1 that Seven is a straight up murder machine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she ain't playing. Although I would argue that teleporting him, 4 feet away from Picard might not have been a good idea.
No.
I mean, guys, like the whole use of teleporter technology in this episode was mind-bogglingly stupid. I don't care if you justify it by saying, "Oh, you never teleported." I mean, Starfleet always teleports into situations where they don't know the tactical layout of what's going on. But
I
especially
disagree.
when something is like so vital as to the future of not only humanity but the entire universe, you would think that they would at least teleport next to the ship so that they could easily get on it. And then like having them shut off the teleporter so that like, they have to like run on foot and put their lives at risk didn't make any sense. Anyway, Danny, I want to hear your thoughts on this, the teleporter technology.
It didn't make any sense to me. They should have, like you guys were saying, or like you were saying earlier, they should have just teleported straight to the ship, and then none of it makes sense. This is just a classic example of bad writing, and they make things it's like convenience, you know what I mean? It's just like they're doing it for like, oh well, we need tension or drama for this, so they're not going to work for this, but then we need it to work for this, so we'll just, you know what I mean, without any logical explanation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it felt like a plot contrivance to get Picard into the catacombs on Chateau Picard.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask Michael.
Yes.
I think you have a visual aid here. Is that correct?
I have a visual aid.
Or is it just like you're still sharing your screen? I thought that you had.
Oh
something
no,
to share.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So Michael, you seem to be in Brian's camp on this. What are your thoughts on like the horrible use of teleporter technology in this episode?
Well, I chalk it up to typical Trek writing. The problem with Trek writing is that the technology has become so, there's so much of a mess with canonical technology that it becomes impossible to create drama in certain circumstances. For example, you guys all remember the incredible drama that was the DS9 episode Siege of AR-558. I mean, that was an incredibly intense and dramatic episode that was really good, praised by many as one of those high points of just the grit of war and pain and all that. And it's like, boy, a wide beam phaser set to stun would have been really handy.
Right.
And gee, maybe just firing a phaser from space set to stun. You know, that would have handled the whole situation.
Sure.
So what we do is we just kind of conveniently forget what technology can do in Trek in order to manufacture drama. And I think with the transporter tech in this episode is just another example of that. But what you're talking about, honestly,
exactly, that's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah,
it's the manufactured drama. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and it's unfortunately it's that what they need to do is they could have fixed all of this with a very, very simple line. They have a transporter inhibitor on the ship. Bam. They
established that the Borg Queen had one, right?
Right. They said that when they tried to beam the Borg Queen to the brig, she had an internal transporter.
Where did that come from?
They said that.
Like, it was so weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been so simple if they had simply said, okay, let's beam onto the La Serena. There's some kind of transporter inhibitor. Oh, no, they must be there already. Let's beam to the chateau. Bam. Problem solved, right?
Yep.
And then people like yourself would have been completely satisfied. And,
I mean, good writing always deals with reasons why as to things can and can't happen.
The other
so good writers.
I can't do this from a...
And there you go. He needs to stop holding up toys, because every time he holds up a toy, he ends up getting booted.
He needs to stay on topic.
Yes.
So.
I think he's just too obsessed with the toys he's playing with. The other, so either establish that they cannot beam onto the La Serena, or establish a reason why it's advantageous to beam to the chateau from a strategic point of view, like the stuff that me and Brian were talking about. You know, if you're going to say, okay, what we should do is beam to the chateau to make sure it's safe first. You know, so that way, if they did it that way, then that would satisfy it from the way that me and Brian are describing. Or if they said there's an inhibitor, that would do it from the way that you and Vader are talking about, from the more layperson point of view. And either way, that's fine. But you need to include that in the dialogue.
Yeah.
I agreed. Yeah.
You know, so so that you're the problem is that way you satisfy it, and you don't have nerds like us arguing over it and having to fill it in with headcanon.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
And this comes down to how badly written this episode was. It's like these are easy fixes if you just think through your story, you
Right.
know. So like, but the way it's written, they don't give us any justification as to why they don't use the teleporters in a way that's advantageous to them. So one of the things I wanted to talk about next is something that Brian brought up in his excellent takedown with his brother Shane on the Popcast Guys review of the show, and that is the flashbacks and the pacing issues that are created via the flashbacks. So for some reason, in the middle of firefights and life and death situations, Picard's having these philosophical flashbacks to his time as a child with his mother. And I understand that they're kind of necessary to fill out the character arc that was started this season with him and his mother and stuff like that. But every time these flashbacks happen, they ground the forward momentum of the plot to a halt. And it was kind of like, okay, we're in the middle of the action. We're in the middle of like the big, the Borg Queen is about to get the ship and we're fighting the mercenaries, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm a little kid and mama, she's not feeling well. And we have to go back in time. And it was so distracting to me. And it created pacing issues throughout the entire episode. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this. Brian, let's start with you, since you had like the big thing there with your review with Shane about it. What did you think of these flashbacks and how could they have been done better?
I feel like the flashbacks could have been like, there could have been an episode where they just sort of knocked all, if the flashbacks are truly important to the story, there could have been an episode where they tackled all this and they didn't, and they don't have to literally stop like a firefight, a phaser fight going on to, in the middle of running from your life to then reminisce once again about something that happened 90 years ago. If it's really important to the story, then have it not a bottle episode, but contain it in an episode, where it's serious drama. But you see, that would require, like, I think in their mind, they would require that would be a risky episode because, their fans need to see lasers all the time. But that is how you would deal with the pacing issue. If it's really important to the story, because if it's not important to the story, just don't do it. Don't have it in there. But if it's really important to the story, then do it in an episode or an episode and a half.
Do it now.
But don't do it for 7 episodes straight. And every time it starts to get remotely good, you just sort of cut to that crap. It's like the pacing. You're right. The pacing is just all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, Salty Trekker.
Yes.
What was your thoughts about these flashbacks? Were they appropriate to you? Do you think that they were well-placed?
I thought the flashbacks was probably the biggest single problem with this episode, is that it made the episode feel extremely disjointed. I liked, generally speaking, I liked the stuff with Picard and Soong. I actually thought that Rafi and Seven was better this episode than in prior episodes. I really like the Girardi Borg Queen stuff this episode, but every time, Mama, I was like, oh,
Mama.
Yeah, and it's like, come on, and so that was really throwing off the tempo of the episode and the pacing of the episode. It was like, that should have been entirely in a prior episode. We didn't need the big reveal that Mom hung herself in the middle of a firefight. That was just really poorly done. And like I said, it would have been much better if the rope had just come undone, and in slow motion she fell off the stool and broke her neck and everything.
Because that's
Zack Snyder style.
That's storyboard Picard's mommy's neck snapping.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Over like a 10-minute scene.
Yeah.
And play like Benny Hill music while it's happening.
That's awful. You're a bad man. You're a bad man, Michael.
I am.
That's dark. I found I'm with you guys. I found the whole flashback thing very distracting.
And then
very
Picard comes up with a screwdriver and just starts. I wanted to see what brains look like. Okay.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. It's like, okay, Picard all of a sudden has mommy issues at the age of 103 years old.
I heard that you got to be smarter if you ate the brains.
Yeah. It totally threw me off. And it's like Brian said, I'm kind of down with the whole making Girardi alternate timeline Borg queen. That was interesting. That was fun. It was stupid with her eating the battery acid and all that kind of stuff, but at least it's, it feels more sci-fi and kind of Trek-like to me than, Picard with his mommy issues and the flashbacks to a suicide. Yeah. I mean, that's dark. That's dark for Star Trek. That's not something that I particularly want or need in a Star Trek series. But I say that about a lot of these new Trek episodes. There's a lot of stuff that I don't want or need. And it was a hard watch, it was a hard watch to get through. And the flashbacks were distracting and completely unnecessary, and it's a storyline that could be thrown away because I just don't care that Picard has mental issues because of his mommy. I just don't. It doesn't. I don't need it.
Especially considering he's a synthetic. Anyway, I want to get Danny's opinion on this. Danny, what did you think of the flashbacks and the pacing of the episode?
They really doubled down on Brian and Shane's whole thing about this being all about mental health. Because you guys know I have the Nerds Never Say Die charity. That's not the charity I'm doing today. That's mental health and suicide prevention. And that scene like bothered me. And that's probably what they were going for. But the first, and I'm sorry, I actually stepped away for a while. So if somebody else already said this, I apologize. But it just took me out. All these flashbacks just made it so what's the word? Like
disjointed. That's what
disjointed. There you go. That's a good word.
Mm.
It made it and it's and it took you out in such a depressing way, like that. Star Trek is supposed to be about hope and uplifting and happy, and this was just such on top of being bad, now it's bad and depressing.
Yeah, we interrupt the space adventure with mental health issues.
Not just mental health issues, but like
suicide.
Not just suicide. The little boy finds his mom hanging, and he has, and it's like, from his point of view, his fault because he goes to crawl into bed. I mean, it was just so in poor taste, in my opinion. I hated it. I hated it.
Because you could see why he rationalized that it was his fault.
Yeah. And I would also argue that within the canon of Star Trek, they've solved mental health issues by that point.
Neural neutralizer, anyone?
Yeah. Like when Picard's dad goes to his wife and he's like, "You haven't had one of your episodes, like you're doing really good." I'm like, why doesn't she have like a little like thing on her temple that's regulating her, manic depressive stuff? Like,
right. The chemical imbalances are gone.
None of it makes sense. And why is it now that Picard's a synthetic, we're just now dealing with this stuff with his mental health when he's not even
Well,
If you
Yeah.
could take a pill for a new kidney, chemical imbalances in your brain are not a problem.
What was Vader gonna? What were you about to say,
I-
Vader? You said,
I
"Well,
was to say he's only a synthetic when they needed to be some kind of plot contrivance.
yeah,
Oh, he's
So-
a 90-year-old that can get run over by a car.
Yeah.
So
yeah." He
he's
gets a bruise from an IV. You know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, guys. So, in addition to the teleporter issue and the pacing of the flashbacks, we got to talk about holograms. So,
God,
yeah.
basically, we have a plot point here in this episode where Girardi resurrects Elnor as one of the La Serena's holograms, and La Serena, because they have a holographic crew, the holograms are able to interact with the environment, and basically he is able to kill or at least fight the mercenaries that Girardi brought with her. But he seems, even though he's a hologram, he doesn't want to get hit by bullets, or he doesn't want to, do anything that holograms might do. And we have a scene with Rafi later on, which was so cringe. It was almost embarrassing to watch. But I want to get everyone's thoughts on this. Danny, you seem to.
I just
be
had a
on about this
question.
topic.
I just had a question, and then
Yeah,
we
what's
can get
up?
to everybody else. So they've established, like with Rios, he had all those holograms in the previous season, for the different things and the different personality types or whatever.
Mhm.
So now this episode, they conveniently say, "Oh, anybody who's been here, we can have a hologram of." But like, did they ever, like, none of those previous holograms had holo emitters on them, right? Did they ever?
No, we talked about this before you came on. This is the first time that I can recall that we've seen a mobile emitter on any of the holograms.
Yeah, the mobile emitter is sus. And
Yeah,
for sure,
dude,
it's
definitely.
for sure a mobile emitter.
I am
Well,
one.
they showed
Dark
it, they
Knight,
showed it.
you saw the mobile emitter, right, Dark Knight?
Yeah, it was on his. It was
Yeah.
just like the
Yeah,
doctor.
it was a
right
mobile
on his-
emitter. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like the doctor's mobile emitter.
Yeah, and because he even shows it to, like, he does a thing
Yeah,
like that
because he's like, yeah, hey, check this out. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, what?
So my question to you guys here is, if Girardi could make one Elnor to fight the bad guys and keep the code secret to prevent the Borg Queen from, getting her getting control of the ship, why couldn't she make like 5 or 6 or 10 Elnors that could just kill all these guys, restrain the Queen, and tell Picard, hey, we got control of the ship?
Probably has something to do with the power that it takes to create a hologram or something that somebody will say.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm assuming that would be the case.
I thought it would have been cool to see, like, a bunch of different Elnors that have different accents, like
Yeah, French
Rios.
one.
Yeah.
My, and they could chuck that up to this being an alternate timeline, La Serena, whatever. My biggest issue with the hologram is that somehow a hologram comes infused with the emotions and feelings and maybe some memories of the person that it took a scan of to make a copy from.
Yeah. How did he know?
It's so strange and weird, and such a it's just another example of these writers being
Well, he
morons.
said, like,
I don't-
said, I had memory up until his last moment.
he's like,
how?
just so you know, the real Elnor had really strong, loving feelings for you, and I just wanted you to know that.
As he died,
or yeah, whatever. It was it was silly. It was
His
just
one regret
his last thoughts were of love, and it's like,
It-
wait,
yeah,
you
his one-
know what he was thinking as he died?
His
How?
one regret was
Yeah.
that he didn't get to bang you.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, wait,
Oh,
a
that
minute.
was that. Okay, now that's a little. That's,
Yeah, I don't buy that for a second.
I'm trying really hard not to grab these. There's so many cool toys around me. I'm sorry.
Danny, sit on your hands.
Yeah.
Sit on your hands. Don't
Brian,
put anything in the camera. Don't shill none of your stuff. Just sit there and be
Okay.
good.
Yes, sir.
Brian, what was your thoughts about like the hologram thing? Because I remember texting you when I was watching. I was like, why is Elnor running from bullets?
That's so weird. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's like that's like there is got to be a disconnect between the script writers, the producers, the action directors, the choreographers. There's a disconnect.
Right.
And they probably hired a action choreographer or whatever to work out all the fighting scenes and shooting scenes, and that person probably has no idea the person he's directing is a hologram. And there's no one there to correct him, apparently. And I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. And they just
Well, Michael, one of the things that struck me was that so they were trying to hunt down Elnor because he had the code to unlock the ship. Like it was like embedded in him or something like that. But couldn't he have just like dematerialized so like they couldn't find him? Or couldn't he have like disappeared and then come up behind like one of the guys and been like, chokehold, It seems like the idea that that he was a hologram was very underutilized.
Well, and I was thinking about the fact like, okay, so maybe the mobile emitter thing, and this is another one of those things where unfortunately a line of dialogue could have gone a long way to explain
That comment
things.
right there, that's a good maybe.
Well, that's I think the mobile emitter was a way to keep the encryption key separate from the computer of the ship.
Oh, see, that makes so much sense.
Right. That's what I think the mobile emitter was for, that's where the key to the ship's systems was. So he had to keep the mobile emitter away from them. That makes sense, but the one line of dialogue, guys, freaking line of dialogue could have explained all that. But instead,
so she said,
he just kind of points at it like we're supposed to get all that.
Yeah. Right? When she said I put it in him, my first mind went, it's like, oh, he's in the computer somewhere.
Right. But I think he meant in the mobile emitter.
You're not going to catch him. Somehow.
It's in the mobile emitter. The key is in the mobile emitter. So I think that's what that is. But the stupid thing about the combat sequence is keep in mind that at the beginning of this season, we got a really cool battle sequence with hologram Rios with Seven. And we got to see exactly what a hologram can do in combat.
And
that hologram did phase in and out and do all sorts of cool stuff. And now we got a hologram that's like, oh no, bullets! Ah! And so
just a second, Danny, I'm going to go to you in 1 second. But I just wanted to point out that they spent the entire Ocean's 11 episode talking about air gap and how like that was like the way to go. They could have mentioned that with the mobile emitter. It was like, oh, I air gapped it so you can't get to it. Like that. Like all the setup was there. They just didn't do it. Okay, Danny, let's hear your thoughts on this.
No, I just had a question. How did Elnor, the holographic Elnor, see? Like, how the Borg Queen and then Girardi, but Girardi is like not really there, she's like in the Borg Queen's head type of thing, and she's talking to Elnor. You know the scene I'm talking about where she's like, go get him.
So basically the Borg Queen sees Girardi who's talking to her, and Elnor acts like he can see Girardi too.
Yeah, can you explain that to me? Because that was confusing to me, my little brain, I guess. Like was the Borg Queen actually talking to him? Did he see like the Girardi that wasn't?
Yeah, it
really
looked
there?
like Girardi was talking to Elnor directly, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, and that confused.
So the only thing I can think of is that the ship, because it can record everyone's brainwaves apparently to make a complete, accurate holographic representation of them later on. Was reading the Borg Queen's brainwaves and knew that she was talking to Girardi, and so somehow Elnor was able to see that conversation. But yeah, you're right. Like there's a big disconnect there.
Is it just me, or does this show require way too much headcanon? You know what I mean?
Well, holographic Elnor knew what real Elnor's last thoughts were as it is. So, obviously the ship is psychic. We've established that the ship is psychic. And
we gave a psychic ship to a Borg Queen, and just like Rafi, let her take it. Just let her take it. And just like, that made no sense to me.
So I want to talk about when Rafi gets on the ship and she is confronted with holographic Elnor, and holographic Elnor is like, I'm not the real Elnor, right? And she's like, just shut up, I need this. And then like she starts like spilling her guts, and he's all like, yeah, the real Elnor wanted to bang you, so it's all good.
Like where do you get that from?
I don't think he said that.
I didn't get that either.
I'm being facetious.
I know.
So, but
That would have been a great line, though. Hey, you know, he really wanted to bang you.
Well, don't you get the sense that Rafi was a little thirsty for Elnor?
Please choose to bang.
Choose to bang. I'll show you some absolute candor right now. But like that whole scene where like Rafi gets her like closure on Elnor's death, even though you know he's going to be back for season 3. It's just like I felt like you guys are in the middle of what is potentially like a universe-saving mission, and you're taking time to discuss your
Rafi
fifis
is
with someone who's not
mess.
even real.
It's Rafi.
I mean, well, you know, again, they're focusing on mental health, and as someone who's, you know, I'm not a therapist, but I am a mental health. You know, I've gone through my own stuff. I do run a charity that, you know, I am what you know they call me a mental health advocate or whatever. That was the least of my issue with this series because or this episode, because people do I mean, you can talk to the freaking moon. Like let's say you happen to find your wife or best friend or something like that dead, and you have a hard time processing it, and like, you know, months go by. I don't know how much time has gone by, probably like a week since the Elnor thing with her, but like time goes by and you just need some type of closure. And you know, like that's why some people go to like people's grave sites and they'll talk to their headstone, or some people will just literally look at the moon and just talk to the moon, but they're talking to their loved one, and they'll get closure that way. So that didn't bother me, because if I was in her place and a hologram of my best friend Jason, who died, and I've talked about this before, showed up, and I had the ability to talk to him, but it's not really him, and I know that, but he had all of his memories, it would be, I'd kind of react the same way, because it would be a healing closure for me. So that actually bothered me the least.
I think you'd want to do that after you saved the galaxy and prevented untold trillions from getting assimilated.
People are selfish, man. I don't know. I mean, I see what you're saying from like the writer's point of view and the storytelling point of view, but from a realistic point,
people are not pragmatic.
Yeah, this is the least,
especially
of my
Rafi.
Problems. Yeah, this is the least of my problems with this episode.
I want to hear Brian's take on the hologram. You're reuniting with Rafi.
You know how much I love Rafi's emotional. You know, I love it so much. I want a whole show with nothing but Rafi dealing with her demons. That's what I want to see.
Oh, sorry.
That could be Star Trek dealing with.
Please
demons.
tell me that's sarcasm. That was sarcasm, right?
Yeah, it was sarcasm,
okay,
bro.
Thank you. I'm so gullible. Okay.
It might have been a little bit more interesting had they taken some time to actually set up whatever this relationship between real life Elnor and Rafi was. But instead, they just kind of inserted
they spent 10 minutes.
Not even 10 minutes. We talked about this in previous episodes.
Yeah, that's right. That's
well,
what
I mean, after
say.
the fact.
Okay. It just, the relationship doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So, and for that reason, her needing closure doesn't seem necessary to me. It's just more inserted bad writing. It's nonsense.
Fair enough. I was probably in the moment while watching. I was probably projecting more of my stuff into that moment.
And I do want to say something about in Rafi's defense. Well, not Rafi's defense, but in the actress who plays Rafi's defense. Because she just seems so ridiculously over the top as a character. You know, it's like she's constantly chewing up every scene she's in with the why, you know. Yeah, right. And my wife and I, because it's on Disney Plus right now, have been rewatching Daredevil. And I don't know if you know this, but she plays the district attorney in Daredevil season 2, and she is freaking awesome in Daredevil season 2. She is a stone cold BI witch.
You know, actors can only work with what
material
they're given.
And so it's not her. It's the people that are directing her and all that. She's.
I don't think any of us are.
I know some people think it's the actor.
No,
you know,
I never. You always have to separate the the character from the person doing the job. I mean,
Art from the artist,
they can only do with what they're worked
Right.
with, and I don't.
But
think
there are people
Picard
that can't separate that.
Yeah,
so
but
I
I'm
just
saying-
want to make sure I say that.
I don't think these are shows that they can ad lib to a whole lot either. It's
Right.
just it's just the whole relationship is strange. And
By the way, have you
it's not
noticed
set
we've
well.
broken 60?
Yeah, no, 62.
Yeah.
What's
so you can confirm viewers.
Oh wow! I wonder if that has anything to do with me playing with toys. Hey, look, it's Godzilla.
No,
No,
it has
Andy,
nothing to do with that.
Out.
I guarantee
It
you.
I think it has
That's-
more to do with the fact that he keeps dropping out. I think that every time he drops out, we get more people.
Like Rodney Dangerfield. No respect.
All right,
no respect.
guys. So we need to talk about one of the most glaringly stupid parts of this show, which was
You say that every time you open your mouth.
Rafi. Well, it's true every time I open my mouth. But Rafi and Seven's corkscrew and ice pick charge through the field of mercenaries to the La Serena. So they have
Why couldn't they have just given him guns?
They have a real Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid moment where they're like, okay, we only have an ice pick and a corkscrew, and we're facing down 7 highly trained, armed, Borg assimilated mercenaries in an open field with automatic weapons. Let's do a charge through that field, not get shot once, maybe get some dirt on our faces or whatever, but kill all these guys with our melee weapons and make it to the ship completely unscathed. What did you guys think of this part?
I'm gonna go first. Everyone here plays video games, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Hey,
maybe.
you guys ever play back in the early 2000s? There were games that had levels that were purposely made for you not to be able to pass them, right?
Uh-huh.
There used to be this way. Now I don't think anyone can do this
Did you ever
because
play Star Trek Legacy?
the kids nowadays would just they would cry and commit suicide. But back in the day, there were levels where you saw something, you wanted to get to something, you wanted to get to this loot or whatever, but it was an unbeatable level on purpose, right? This reminded me when the camera zoomed out, it reminded me of an unbeatable level in Metal Gear Solid or something, where it's oh, okay, well, I'm gonna have fun trying to beat this, but I'm aware that no one gets out of this alive. Period. The end. Right?
Mhm.
You have no ammo. You have no gun. You're in an open field with Borgs with automatic weapons. Okay. Now, them charging and saying they're going to die and then cutting to them in the ship was so cheap.
Yeah,
Right.
that's really bad.
Yeah. No.
That was so cheap. Look, guys, I try to defend this. You guys can see it every week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here.
You
I'm
do.
trying so hard.
It's like,
that
that
is
was something.
indefensible.
Oh, whatever.
And
Mike, you do the
And
same
every
thing.
week, and every week it gets harder and harder, right?
Yeah.
It does seem to get a little
Yeah.
harder.
Mm.
So let me ask you a question, and I didn't mean to interrupt you earlier. Has anybody in here ever played Star Trek Legacy?
My brother Shane has. I haven't.
It's on the Xbox. So when you said that, there's this level where you have to set up. You have to use, and I never got past it, and I gave up. And I've tried literally for years, and I had friends who were trying to help me and would give me tips and advice, but you had to drag these turrets to protect these planets from ships. If anybody's played it, you should know the level I'm talking about. I could never get past it. The planets kept getting destroyed. And so I finally just gave up and watched YouTube videos of people who were better than me.
So are
at
you
the
saying
game.
you're giving up on this show and you're just going to watch YouTube videos about?
No,
Talk
because
about
I'm on YouTube videos talking about it, so I would, but you know what? So off of the video game thing, what this really reminded me of, especially when I think it was Seven that said we're not going to make it, because Rafi said something like we're going to make it, and she's like, we're not, and then Seven was like, we're not, and then she's like,
No,
yeah,
she said when we get out of this, and she goes, "Let's be real, we're not going to get
we're
out
not.
of this."
Yeah, that's what it was.
And
So-
5 minutes later, they're out of this.
Right, but it gave me real Thelma and Louise vibes. I really thought
Right.
they were going to run out there and die. And then, like you said, they just cut to them being on the ship. I was like, well, that was cheap as fuck.
Yeah.
Hey, can I tell you what would have been cool? If they ran out into the field, they're gonna go have their last stand, and as they're running, they're getting teleported onto the ship.
Yeah, something,
Yeah.
anything. Because
Right?
Yeah,
Like,
they
they
should
even-
not have made the run. They
they
absolutely
even put
should
in
not have
sound
made the run.
effects. Did you notice? They even put in sound effects where you could hear them shivving people on the on
Yeah, I
the-
know that
Yeah.
that was so bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like,
So-
oh, That was the most cringeworthy. But here, you know what? I want to back up just a second because just before, there's two things I had really wrong with that. The shivving thing was horrible.
Yeah.
But you notice before that scene, just before that scene, there's a guy comes crashing through the window and attacks them, and they fight him and end up stabbing him in the face. Right?
Yeah,
Right.
and they can
Oh,
barely
yeah.
beat that guy.
Yeah.
Barely.
The scene that looked like it was choreographed by wrestlers because it was like a Hurricane Rana
Right.
leg
Now,
thing.
here's the funny part about that scene. That guy had a clean shaven head. And because it was filmed so dark, and I understand they do that because stunt doubles and all that, but it was so dark and everything, I honestly thought that was supposed to be Picard.
Yeah,
And
I did too for a second.
And I was just busting up laughing watching what I thought was Picard in an action scene.
No, this ain't first contact, bro. It ain't first contact.
Yeah. So I
went back and watched First Contact on Thursday night because I was trying to work on this theory that I gave up on, by the way. And dude, I know everybody talks crap on that movie, but there's weird logic problems, but it's talks about really fun movie, man.
I love that movie. That's my favorite next gen movie.
We're not going to even go there. We're not.
Picard is
jamming
in that movie. You guys don't like First Contact?
We're not going to get derailed on this
but
one.
But if you guys want good Star Trek, there's still good Star Trek out there.
So Vader, I want to get your opinion on the lesbian charge for the Lost Arena.
The lesbian.
What did you think of that?
The bull run.
The Butch run. The Butch run.
Oh my god, I can't even.
Running of the bulls.
I was trying not to laugh, but I couldn't hold it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I got pulled a muscle
armed with a
right
phallic
there.
weapon. Ironically.
There's a deleted scene where they run out there and immediately get shot by like 17 Borg.
Oh, it hurts. It hurts.
Vader, you're muted.
Okay, so I just have this to say. Nobody cares what we have to say about lesbians because we're just five old fat white guys sitting around talking about Star Trek.
Shane's not fat.
So
Or Brian's not fat.
because we
Wow,
got called out for that at one point. But also, I've never bought into this relationship. I find it really kind of awkwardly portrayed by both actresses in this.
Especially Jerry Ryan. Yeah.
Especially Jerry Ryan in their whole relationship thing. And
Right.
I just the whole charge into the vineyard, it didn't do anything for me. And I never once for a single second ever didn't think that they were both going to not make it to the ship. So it was just another silly thing, and it was really cheap how they got from, okay, let's knock out the two guys, then we're just going to cut. Then the next thing they're in the ship. They made it. Hey, everybody out in the orchard's dead.
Wouldn't it have made more sense if they had gone to the catacombs with Picard and got separated and made their way to the ship through the underground catacombs?
They needed to have that little bit of an action scene, and they needed to have Patrick Stewart, the star of the show, have somewhere to go dawdle off to, and not be in an action scene.
May I ask a question, debater? So, wouldn't it have been better if like one of them was like, not necessarily died, but like I would have preferred if Rafi died, but like was mortally wounded, and there was like that heightened the drama and the tension instead of just like you get okay. Well, never mind. Well,
yeah,
I said, like that was the vibe I was getting, was the Thelma and Louise vibe, and if they're not going to die, at least like mortally wound one of them, and we've got the drama of like.
Well, Seven did get mortally wounded at the end of the episode.
Yeah,
Right,
later,
he means during the running of the bulls.
I mean, during the running.
Yeah,
part,
I know. The running of the bulls. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
or
like
the
there were so
butches,
many,
or whatever you call it.
There were so many problems with that scene in particular, and like I can't see how anyone could like sit there in a writer's room or in an editing bay and look at that scene and be like, this is a good idea. Let's go with this. I mean, it was so unbelievable. And keep in mind that Seven, she doesn't have like her badass Borg implants to make her like a super killer. Like she's just normal at this point. So it's just like two middle-aged lesbians running into a field with corkscrews and ice picks against highly trained, armored, and and automatic weapon wielding mercenaries.
So
And it was
Thelma
just
and
like,
Louise. Yeah.
like they could have ninja'd it. They could have like kind of, snuck through like the field, avoiding those guys or like whatever. But they literally did,
which would have
like,
made much more sense.
yeah, they literally did the bull run, like running into the field.
With the
like,
terrible sound effects like from a video game.
Yeah.
Like
it was the second dumbest part of this entire episode, and I was
Wait, that was the
flabbergasted.
second dumbest. What was the dumbest?
The dumbest was the use of teleportation technology.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I think the running of the bulls was the dumbest. I gotta say, I think the two middle-aged lesbians charging into a field full of mercenaries with automatic weapons and surviving is dumber than the fact that they didn't beam onto the Lost Arena directly.
Well, I mean, like there's the dikes with spikes, or there's the. Oh, sorry.
Oh, dang! I didn't even go there. Wow.
I also thought it was funny that when they get to the Lost Arena, like Seven is just like looks perfect, and Rafi's the one who's like got all like the mud and shit on her face.
Disheveled.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought that was kind of funny. All right, so we talked about teleporters, we talked about the pacing and the flashbacks, we talked about the holograms, the running of the bulls. Rafi,
come on, guys, let's get those likes going. We need to get up to 50 likes.
Yeah, we're like
69
like
people. Hey, 69 people watching.
Perv. Yeah, smash that like button. Come on.
Yeah. So after you smash that like button, let's talk about Mr. Soong, the main bad guy, or Picard's main
70.
villain.
We hit 70.
Yay.
I mean, I already said that, but then you had to make the 69 joke like a child. I have so many questions about Soong. So
yeah. So my big thing about Soong is that, if his mission is to interrupt the Europa launch so that he can fulfill his evil destiny, why couldn't he just use his political connections to call up someone at the Europa project and say, like, hey, can you postpone the launch? Because it was established in the Ocean's 11 episode 6, I believe, that he had political connections with the Europa mission, and then like he has like a connection with the
that's
general
how he got them
mercenaries.
to chase Picard out. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like my question is, like, if he really wanted to succeed in this, instead of leading a mercenary group against Picard, why didn't he just use his connections to scuttle the mission before it had a chance to go off, or at least pay off someone to say, like, oh, Renee Picard is unfit for this mission, we're gonna ground her and put in her replacement or something like that. Go ahead, Danny.
Easy answer, because you're a better writer than every single person.
No, that's a cop-out answer. You got to give a real answer.
No,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a real,
You
no,
can't
that's my
just say
real
bad
answer. That's my
writing.
real. No, it's
That's
my
not a
real
cop-out
answer.
answer.
That's
I mean,
my real answer.
If
Cadence is a better
every
writer.
answer Matt asks a question for is bad writing. Then
No,
what
I
are
didn't
we
say
here
bad
for?
writing. I specifically said because he keeps writing a better show than the one we're watching.
I
And
get it. I get it.
it pisses me off because I'm like,
he's
I
asking
wanna-
you for logic here. If there's no logic to say that.
There's no logic. I can't give you a logic.
Well, then why do you
answer
answer?
Okay, I'm sorry. Go on.
All right,
I love
Brian,
you,
you seem to be passionate about this. Let's see your thoughts.
All
Why
right,
didn't
well, I don't-
Soong use his political connections?
Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna throw something out here. Maybe he doesn't have the juice for it. He has connections. Maybe he doesn't have connections. He had to buy his way into the Europa mission.
Yeah.
So even though he had political connections, it was established, he still had to buy his way into that
Well, he's
fancy
rich.
ball.
Yeah, but
Is
he
he
already
rich?
bought into it, so why not
And-
use
and-
that?
and
No,
that's part of it.
just because you buy
that-
into the board as a donator doesn't mean you're going to be calling up and be like, "Yo, screw up the mission."
Yeah.
Tell
Keep
that
in
to
mind,
Twitter's-
Soon is
Twitter's
new to
board.
the party.
No, like as somebody who's on multiple board of directors, I disagree.
No,
Just
he
saying.
didn't buy his way into the board of the directors of NASA. He bought his way into the mission ball, whatever it was.
No, he was
Right.
actually he was a big patron of the Europa mission. He was one
Right.
of the people helping to fund it.
Yeah,
It wasn't just the ball; it was the actual mission itself.
it was the,
Yeah,
it
so
was the
you-
mission, and
so-
you got.
But
So
he was
in
a
becoming
new.
a huge Patreon, he was allowed into the ball. And I
Right,
still
but-
don't think that gives him the ability to call NASA and say,
Are
"Shut
you
it
kidding?
down."
No, the way
Right.
they were all
Ho- ho-
chummy with him, and he tells them to like, "Hey, man, this guy's a bad." Like he gets him to throw out Picard. I mean, I think Kadish is right. I feel like he could have just made a phone call and be like, "Hey, I give you guys all this money, and I think if we just like postponed a little bit, I've got these ideas. Like he could have made up some BS reason to get him to postpone it.
Or he
You
could have
know?
at least wielded his influence to sideline Renee specifically. Instead of
Yeah.
the
But
mission.
that's not how it works in the real world.
Hold
on.
Brian,
Oh,
please.
come on. I disagree. With that.
Wait. I think that what you're missing out here is the fact that he is brand spanking new to the party because he came
The Borg of directors. That's funny.
That's great.
the Borg of directors because he literally went and they established this at the party. He just made the donation. He just came onto the board, and yes, he warned them about Picard, but Picard was also someone who was a complete stranger to these guys, and so he warned them, "Hey, this guy's dangerous, just so you know." But there's a big difference between saying, "Hey, you see that guy you've never seen before? He's dangerous." And by the way, I gave you $100 million. Aren't I a great guy?
Right.
But there's a big difference between that and, oh, by the way, I know I just showed up this week and gave you $100 million. Now let's scrap the whole mission that we've been talking about.
I didn't say scrap. I said postpone. No, so
right.
seriously.
But you don't show up and say, hey, welcome to the party. Now let's postpone it.
Hold up.
You can't. You also can't postpone. Like if you're going to Mars or Jupiter or whatever, there are windows. Like
these are can't just postpone it.
You can't if you postpone it, you might postpone it for like 10 years, 20 years.
Really?
Yeah,
See,
that's how Mars launches work.
They launch at certain windows so that they're closer to
at the very least you'd have to postpone it for probably 6 months. It depends. You have to launch at certain points where Earth and Mars are aligned properly.
Let's get back on track. We're losing Vader. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry.
Poor Vader.
Vader never knows what's being discussed, though. So
that beard is epic, though. That beard is on point, brother.
That's a good point. You can't just postpone something. It's either if you're postponing a launch like that, you might as well cancel.
But that was my point. Is that like if he could wield his influence to get them to postpone, so like the entire mission gets foobarred, like. I mean, that works to his favor. Like the whole point that Borg Girardi made, or Jaborgi or whatever.
Jaborgi, I like that.
Yeah, she basically said like, oh, as long as the Europa mission doesn't succeed, your Confederation fate happens. And so like, he should be completely focused on scuttling that mission in some way, shape, or form. Vader, what was your thoughts on this?
I don't know. I have no clue. You guys have totally. I don't even know what part of the show we're talking about right now.
So hey,
Dr. Soong. I feel like I don't even know why he was leading the Borg commandos. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me.
See, every time he holds up a toy, he loses his Wi-Fi. He needs to stop playing with toys.
I know, it's weird, right?
Yeah. I also didn't know why he was there. Shane said he was there because Jaborgi said that they have to stop these people, or he's not gonna have his legacy. So I think it's a stupid reason. Like, oh, I need my legacy. I think that's dumb. But
I mean, honestly, the whole Soong character is just through the whole series is really just dumb. It's dumb. I don't know why there has to be an iteration of a Soong.
Oh, Matt. But see, I agree to disagree.
Person,
in the first few episodes,
in every single episode, in every single Star Trek iteration that there is.
If we get to
You're right, but in the first few episodes, when he had layers, it was great. It was when they revealed that his motivations were purely villainous is when it became horrible.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have a daughter. I have a science project.
So So I got a question about Soong. Or unless is that a future topic? I don't want to squash anything.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So in Enterprise, they keep using Brent Spiner over and over again. So we've had a Soong in Enterprise. Now we have a Soong in Picard. In the past, even further back than Enterprise, we've had like Noonien Soong in Next Gen. And we've had Data, Lore, B4, Data's mom, like all this. They keep just adding to the
Brent Spiner played Data's mom.
Yeah, he
didn't.
No, he had Lowell. No, my
Brent
point
Spiner's
is
competing with Jeffrey Combs right now. He's just trying to get as many characters as possible.
No, but my point is like, with the character that we're seeing now, how the hell is Noonien Soong even alive? Because how does he have any biological children who procreate to make? You know what I mean? Like that's what
I
Maybe-
already put
Maybe
that
not
theory out.
Soji. Maybe
He's a
not
clone,
Soji
bro.
gets knocked up.
Yeah.
You think so?
You didn't hear me a couple of weeks ago. I made that theory clear. That I think he's going to clone himself.
Yeah, he's a clone. I'm waiting for just a little bit more connective tissue before I literally hit a video on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And then I'm going to sue Brian for.
No, it's
whatever,
okay, bro.
man. There's just too much.
You better give me
This
some
show
credit
should
for
be
I'll
that.
give you
Brian.
all the credit.
This show should be called Star Trek: Headcanon, because like that's all we like. Everything we're saying is just like to make this shit make sense. It's all headcanon. It's infuriating. Next time I got to pee, by the way, I'm just gonna pull a toy on because like it works great.
Well,
Yeah, it does.
You'll
It seems to-
get canceled too anyway. So I guess I just don't understand the whole. So Brent Spiner, right? Well, didn't he put something in his contract or made some demands about how I never want to play Data again? Right? Is that right, Brian?
Yes, yeah.
But he still wants to be in Star Trek.
Well, no. So what it was they wanted him on the show.
Mhm.
It wasn't a demand, but he said if I'm coming back, I want to make sure this is the last version of Data I play. We need to give him a good send off, and I don't want to play Data in future versions of Trek. I'll play other things. I want to play Data because Data, he wants to act, and Data doesn't emote. So in order to play Data correctly,
He has to act.
yeah. Well, no, I think it's actually the opposite of acting. You're just stiff.
Well,
I think he wants to emote. He wants to show his talent off on it.
I don't understand that because Data is such a great character. I think it takes more talent to play Data than it does to play.
He also didn't like the way Data looked in Picard season 1. He said that in the interview.
I feel like he doesn't
Danny?
like the makeup.
Danny.
Super chat.
All right, we got $5 super chat from Daniel Hall. Thank you, sir. Does anyone know why Picard and company are trying to alter the timeline in an alternate universe? The entire premise of this season makes no effing sense. I think they established somehow that this is the actual timeline as opposed to an alternate timeline, even though it doesn't make any sense.
No. This is branch. I explained this last week. There's 3 branches.
You got your
I'm just talking about what the show itself has told us.
And you're assuming that they realize, even if they're in an alternate universe right now, you're assuming they realize they are. Like they might be in an alternate universe and not even realize they're in an alternate universe.
I thought we established that we're in the Prime universe, but in the past. And they're trying to fix it from getting altered.
You obviously didn't watch Brian's video.
Well, I think I did watch his video.
Hold on. My video is not based on my own headcanon. They actually confirm it in this episode too. They actually talk about the branches of time.
What's the matter?
Oh,
Sorry.
Danny's talking something about.
Super chat.
Okay,
Well,
so
that was a weird one.
they actually do confirm it that Star Trek is now working in the same time travel style as Marvel. So it's definitely branch universes. She says timeline branches.
See, I think you breathe too much into this because the show itself does not establish any of these things concretely. It kind of plays fast and loose with it. Your stuff is much more sensical than what we're actually getting from the show. And you say that the show's established this. I didn't get that from the show at all.
Well, the Borg Queen came in.
Real quick, Kenneth LaRoque
go ahead.
for a Canadian $5 super chat. I'm happy I don't watch these shows. I'm happy you don't either, Kenneth.
What is it? Your lovely wife always says we watch this shit, so you don't have to. So.
What's up, Kenneth? Yeah. Okay. So maybe you're right. Maybe
there you go. There's the thing.
Here's what it is. Here's what it is. So she actually does say that there's different branches of time. So I'm assuming that when she said that, she's confirming that. They did travel back in time from the corrupted timeline. We saw a corrupted future. They traveled to the point in time. This is very important. They traveled to the point in time where the branch happens, right? So if they're using the branch theory of time travel, which is what Marvel and everyone else uses, then
Except for Back to the Future.
The Back to the Future 1 used single time travel. Back to the Future 2 and 3 did not, though. Anyways, let's not get into that. You're messing with me.
Sorry.
Bro. Listen, so if they move to that corrupted timeline, right? So they're on the branch. They ask the Borg Queen when it changes. So they're going to the point where the branch occurs. And if you can stop that event from happening, then you stop the branch from happening, and you'll stay on the prime timeline.
Here's my thing, Brian. Here's my thing, Brian. So that makes perfect sense what you just said. However, at the beginning of this season, they specifically pointed out that, this isn't a branch, this is the main timeline. And that's why they have to go back in time to change it. So they've already laid the rules down.
Sorry, brother, they did
time travel for this season.
But
they did.
Terry didn't say, no, he said it's not an alternate timeline.
Right,
because it's not. It's a branch timeline. That's why he said.
What's the difference between a branch and an alternate? It's the same
alternate
thing.
timeline is when you're dealing with a single timeline,
that's completely alternate. But then you have one that's like it's the same until it gets to the branch and then it changes.
An alternate timeline would be like the mirror universe,
right? So here's my thing.
Yes,
let's go ahead and do super chat.
Yeah. Dennis Wright for $4.99. Would you define Picard as art, entertainment, propaganda, subversion, content filler, or all the above? I define it as a piece of shit.
That wasn't an option
it at
out of
that.
the options. I will.
So the reason why
propaganda.
Terry said that, by the way, was because people were saying, "Oh, it's the mirror universe." He goes, "No, it's not. It's not an alternate timeline." And he made it very clear.
An alternate timeline is the Back to the Future 2 rules, right? Where like one timeline branches off into another, but at the same time, like
Back to the Future.
No, branching timeline is different than an alternate timeline.
I said Back to the Future 2. It's an alternate timeline, which is the same thing as a branching timeline because it goes off of a single point of change, but the original timeline still exists in a branch timeline.
No, in a branch timeline, you like everything's the same up to a point, and then it branches, and then the things they change at the branch.
Yeah.
An alternate timeline is completely different from
They're
the
parallel.
Yeah.
They never intersect.
Exactly.
You know what?
Yeah.
So we're all nerds, and I know
Straight
you guys can talk about time travel and the rules of time travel for the next 10 hours, but let's go.
I got shit too.
If they stop the event from happening, right? So they traveled past the point of the event. They traveled from the corrupt timeline past the event where the branch happens. If they can stop that event from happening, then they can completely wipe out the corrupt timeline.
They've done such a poor job of explaining it, and as it is anyway, it doesn't matter. Who cares? It's just
like the whole point of this show is to fix that branch timeline. But our final topic here is going to be about the weird timeline stuff because I want to get Brian's take.
You got another super chat, by the way.
We'll get to that in a second. So basically, Brian, one of the things that shocked me about this episode was that you had basically the Borg Queen taking the La Sirena and going off to voluntarily assimilate a alternate Borg thing. So like I'm wondering, is the original Borg still out there and doing their assimilation thing, and then we got this branch thing, and if they fix the timeline, how is it that Borg then shows up in episode 1 and creates this thing? Because wouldn't going back in time and creating this new Borg thing create a paradox because like you needed that thing in order for them to go back in time in the first place?
Well, yes, you're right, which is why my video 2 weeks ago was labeled Picard Paradox. But if Gerardi Borg, Jaborgi, if Jaborgi completely avoids the current Borg, the actual regular Borg that are out there, if she completely avoids them in order to not corrupt the timeline, then she will not make a third branch. You can exist without making puddles and not make a third branch. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what she tries to do.
Well, she's literally assimilating people that weren't assimilated before.
Yeah. Well, so they said people that needed saving. So it might be people that were dying anyways.
Think about Loki, and I assume everybody here's seen the Loki series.
Hated it. Absolutely hated it.
What? You just hate everything.
No,
Vader.
I don't hate everything.
Yeah, you do. You hate everything.
No, I fucking don't. I need stuff to make sense.
I need stuff to make sense.
So, branch timeline.
Wait,
because
hold,
let Mike finish.
Hold on. But in Loki, What was the thing that didn't create divergences is if you were doing things where everybody was going to get wiped out anyway.
Bingo, which is why I just said that. Yeah.
Right. And so if the Borg go around and offer assimilation to people that were about to die anyway, and that's how they create this new Borg star-shaped ship, that would make perfect sense.
All right, let's hear Danny's thoughts on this because he's obviously chomping at the bit.
Thank you. So, look, here's the thing. The fact that they let the Borg queen, Borg Jotty, or whatever we're calling her, take the what'd you call
Jaborgi.
Jaborgi. Okay, I got it backwards. Jaborgi. So the fact that they let her take the ship, and she's got as they call it. So this is where I get confused. A 400-year jump start. Does that mean the Borg don't exist yet? Because like if you play, I talked about the video game Star Trek Legacy earlier. There's this huge fan theory that's been going around for years that V'ger is actually the spawn of the Borg.
Yeah,
that's been going on since TNG. I remember talking to my buddies in high school about that.
Guys, real quick before we get into this, I want to highlight Doomed Huz
Super
$2 chat. Will Agnes be the villain of season 3? I doubt it.
No, because I think Agnes is that Borg lady that
Agnes will probably be the anti-hero.
Told him to look up.
Yeah,
but
go ahead.
Answer you.
Yes.
So the thing is, the Borg are active right now. In 2024, the Borg are still active. They're in the Delta Quadrant, most likely, whatever it is. So all she has to do is avoid them, and their future will play out the same exact way as long as she avoids those.
So then, why do they keep saying head start? Because like when you say a head start, that makes it sound like they haven't started yet. You know what I mean?
No,
that's a reason.
My theory was that she was going to be evil, take off, and get a head start on assimilating the entire universe, thus creating the third timeline.
But she's not evil. She's lonely.
Right. So she's not going to do that.
And she needs to go out and make a kinder, gentler Borg, and they need to build the Borg better, right?
Build Borg better. Yeah.
Build Borg better.
All right.
And it's. I'm sitting here getting angry. I'm getting pissed off because the show just. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I really hate time travel theory chat. It drives me up the wall because there's no right answer to any of this shit. There's no right answer. It's just whatever they want to throw at the whiteboard in the writing room. And
watch 12 Monkeys? Did you watch 12 Monkeys?
So, yeah, it's interesting. I don't like it as much as this guy over here.
Of course not, but that's a solid time travel TV show.
Yeah. So because they explain things. They don't explain things in this show.
Well,
they just throw shit at the wall and hope that Star Trek fans of the modern day are dumb enough to buy it.
All right. I know I'm the bastard redheaded stepchild of the salty nerd, but I never got to get to my point. Can I get back to my point with the Borg? Bro. They've already made by the fact that they gave whatever Jurati Borg Queen, I forget already what we're calling Jaborgi. The fact that they already gave Jaborgi the ship and she left with it, which boggles my mind. Like, why? I do not understand why they just let her take. Like, so what? She assimilated Seven and let her live. I still would like I would not have let her take the ship. They let her take the ship and she goes. So one, how the F are they getting back to the future?
Yeah, no that's to be determined.
They're going to get a DeLorean.
And two, like if she's in the 21st century going out, I don't care. Even if she does what you guys said, even if she's assimilating the Loki thing, like, people are going to die anyway. All right, cool. She's still getting what they're calling a head. So, like, is there another Borg Queen out there in the 21st century?
Here's the answer. Yes.
Yes, there is. There's a duplicate of her, a time travel duplicate of her.
I'm starting to get Vader's point of view. I hate time travel.
She just went to one of the opposite sides of the galaxy that we haven't explored yet.
Right.
Yeah.
This is
she specifically said Delta Quadrant. She specifically said that.
That's because that's where she is.
Guys, let me pose this to you. So at any point, she could slingshot around a star and go back even further in time and get 1,000-year head start, 1,000,000-year head start.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping her from time traveling with
Right.
impunity now.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Because they've already set that up that she can do it.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, the reason why she time traveled, because she did use some kind of time travel in the first episode to get to Picard, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're assuming that's Jaborgi, which I think it is. Well, she time traveled for some reason to that point. You got to ask yourself why. It's probably because her plans to avoid the other Borg or whatever her plans are might not be going their way, and that might be a big plot point.
And
Do you guys think Digital Rover's right? Can there only be one Borg Queen? Like
No.
No.
Obviously not.
I
Okay,
think I think there is only one Borg Queen as far as in the proper Borg collective. But I think that this time travel duplicate Borg Queen is a different, because remember, this is Jaborgi. This is not the original Borg Queen genetically. Genetically, this is Gerardi that is a different entity. Because even though we see the Borg Queen because of these weird conversations that she's having in her head, the Borg Queen is dead. Right? The original Borg Queen is in the Delta Quadrant, but there's not two Borg Queens.
So do you think she's going to the Delta Quadrant so that this?
No, she's staying away from the Delta Quadrant.
No, that was her original.
She literally said,
I know,
let's
I know,
go to
but
the
you're
Delta.
hold on. The problem, Danny, is you're thinking out of sequence here.
He's thinking.
She said she was going to go to the Delta Quadrant and get a 400-year head start when she was talking about assimilating everybody against their will. Then Rafi and Seven got her to do the kinder, gentler thing. So now that was a change of plans. So the head start thing was when she was thinking about actually assimilating everybody.
Yeah, Danny, your crime is you're actually thinking about this show, whereas the writers and creators.
No,
of it
no,
didn't.
he's thinking the dialogue out of sequence. The head start dialogue was when the Borg Queen was on when Jaborgi was evil.
Not to be a dick, Mike, but between you and Kadish is the only published writer that's worked in Hollywood. So
that means nothing.
Yeah,
we're trying to explain the logic.
Right.
Evil Borg.
That means nothing in the context of this conversation.
I'm just fucking with you, dude.
Yeah.
Chill out. All right.
That was said when Borg Queen was in charge, and now it's
Okay.
a Jaborgi, which is like a mix of Gerardi and Borg Queen.
Right.
So then, what do you think So if they're not going to the Delta Quadrant,
You don't know if I've been published.
I'm just, dude, let it go. So if they're not going to the Delta Quadrant, where are they going in the 21st century?
They're going to be looking for people that need saving.
Right. Doing the Loki thing, man. They're trying to avoid. They're going to help people and avoid the timeline. And the reason I think the reason she was able to convince the Borg Queen of that so quickly, which I didn't like how quickly she was able to convince her, but I think the reason she was able to convince her that quickly is because this Borg Queen had suffered like an intense level of loss, torture, and everything from the Confederation. And that Borg Queen's memories and life experiences, being the Borg Queen,
And losing the collective. Yeah.
and losing the collective.
God, I just found another cool. I'm just kidding.
So she lost everything, and she's seen every other timeline where they lose everything.
Well,
So I
that's the
think
thing. If she's seen every timeline, why hasn't she seen this one of hope? and
Well,
peace
because
and
this is the
whatever?
one thing she hasn't tried.
Right. It's
Yeah.
the
Okay,
one thing
okay.
she hasn't tried.
Okay.
Well, here's what I know. Getting away from this thing is when Picard comes out of the chateau and he sees the La Sirena fly off under the control of Jaborgi, and he's just like, "Okay, I guess that happened."
And he goes,
He was
"Oh,
not
crap."
read into any of that stuff. Like you think oh, we just failed the mission. We failed humanity. We can't get back home.
Mhm.
It was so frustrating to me to see him walk out and be like, "Oh, I happen to be watching the same show everyone else was, so I know what's going on." And also, is Jaborgi best friends with Hollow Elnor now, since he's the only companion she has on that ship?
We're
And
probably going to
since
see
he can
Hollow
see her,
Elnor
apparently.
on the ship.
Well, yeah,
Because
Elnor will be a hologram from now on, right?
that ship that came through the anomaly is probably the La Serena, all super
Yeah.
upgraded.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
I'm
like a
thinking, too.
Borgified La Serena.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we're
Yeah.
probably going to see a Borgified.
But let
Have
me
you
ask
guys
you guys.
seen the? Oh,
let,
sorry.
let me ask you guys this, okay? So, Girardi was there when everything blew up in episode 1, right? And she retained that memory when she went back in time, got assimilated by the Borg Queen, went off to create the new Borg. So, wouldn't you think that when she came back, she'd know not to spook everyone by using her tentacles to start taking over the entire fleet?
Well, so maybe it'll go differently this time.
Bro, again, you're just
But-
you're a better writer
but,
than
but, if
hold
it,
up, though,
but if it goes differently, she'd never go back in time to become the.
Well,
Borg
there's
Queen.
got to be a first loop.
Yeah, I had a 4-hour conversation with Shane about this, trying to figure this out for a video, which we decided not to do because we couldn't figure it out. But one of the things we came up with was it's entirely possible because look, when they come through that anomaly, they literally start the conversation with "Help us, Picard," right? And then they can't wait for them to negotiate. They're like, "We're out of time. We need to negotiate now," and they beam onto the ship. And they say, we want peace, but first we need power. So there's whatever it is, whatever's going on with Jaborgi and her crew, Jaborgi and Legion, is they are in distress of some sort. Something is going on where they need assistance now, and they need power now. We don't know what that is, and we don't even know if it's a good reason, but that is what they're painting. And so that's probably why. Probably why all that went down.
So in episode 1, Borg Queen with the mask shows up. I think we all
It's
pretty
probably
sure that's
Jaborgi.
Yeah. Q like snaps. All of a sudden, it's done. So, do we all agree that like that's going to come back, and that's something to do with Q, right? Like that moment is a Q. Like,
Them ending up in the Confederation universe is probably Q's doing.
Yeah, that's Q trying to have his cake and eat it too. He's trying to save Picard, but he can't outright save him. So he moves him to a timeline where none of that happened, and then he tries to get Picard to go back and fix said timeline so he can
because
save
he's
Picard.
losing in his powers and he can't do it himself, type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
'cause he's-
I
'cause
think
he's
he
weak.
was cheating. He was cheating, bro, because he couldn't outright save him, so he moved him into a timeline where that never happened.
Okay.
And so and
So why did Girardi know to say look up? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Mike.
I don't
Why
know.
did
The
Girardi-
lookup thing is so stupid. I hate it so much. Don't
Yeah.
do it ever
Okay.
again.
Yeah. She
Okay.
never heard any of that. She didn't know anything about Picard's mother.
Yeah.
Like they didn't.
I
Yeah,
hate
it would
the
make more
lookup
sense
thing.
if it was not Laris, because she knew about it because she went into his mind.
you know what? Maybe he'll tell her, tell me to look up. And it'll be,
Then I'll know who you are.
Yeah.
No,
And remember how I blew up the ship when you said that? It'll be great.
Oh, mama!
Is it just me, or does his face look like it's melting every episode? I
Yeah,
swear.
he's like 90 trillion years old.
He's not
dude.
even that old. He's not as old as Shatner.
No, he's
Sad,
10
right?
years younger.
Yeah.
But the
You gotta eat your red meat, boys and girls.
yeah.
Yeah.
Eat your red meat.
So somehow they're going to go back. The series is the season is obviously going to end right where it began. It's going to end. It's going to end.
And what's the point
back
of
at-
that?
To
Like,
set up for season 3 with the entire TNG crew.
No, okay.
Yeah, no.
so-
The
wait,
point
hold
of
on,
the
guys.
point of it is to give us a story where they didn't have to spend a bunch of money on actually making Star Trek for 8 episodes.
No, I get
Right.
that.
Can
That's
I give you guys some spoilers? Amy wants spoilers for next week? Anybody?
Please.
All right, here's spoilers. Ready? Renee ends up using the hologram face technology to emulate. I'm
You
sorry,
mean
not
Not
Renee,
Laris?
Not Laris. Uses her technology to emulate Renee so that she can take her place on the mission because the actual Renee dies, probably. I'm not sure exactly why, but she takes her place. Not Laris takes her place on the mission using the hologram tech, which is why they explained it so specifically. And at the very, very end of the show, in Chateau Picard, in that same room when his mom hung himself, Q's going to show up, and he's going to be like, "I got one more thing for you before I can't do anything else." And he's going to snap his fingers, and the TNG crew is going to show up. That's what's going to happen.
You heard it here first, folks. On the
That's
salty
going to happen.
nerd.
And
Not
then right
Laris
there-
going to take Renee's place to fix the mission and get that back on track. And Q is going to use his one last move to bring the TNG crew to Picard and Chateau Picard.
You know why that's not going to happen? Because you're a better writer than the actual people writing the show.
God damn it.
Yeah,
I hate when you say that.
No, but it's
all you
true.
need to do is think of the laziest and stupidest thing possible, and that's what the writers are going to do.
Who wants to bet me? Who wants to take this bet? I'll take $5 bets right here.
I'll take it.
Okay, $5 bet.
Yeah, I'm a
Jordan
Vegas
Knight,
guy.
$5 bet.
I'll take the bet.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. Hey, Vader, you want to bet on this, bro?
No, I don't bet. No bets.
Okay. That's probably very healthy of you. Okay, so if I'm wrong about next week, I'm gonna owe you guys.
Did you already owe us all $5 for something?
No, I haven't lost anything yet. I've been pretty spot on, actually.
So, what do you guys think are the odds that next week's finale is going to end on a cliffhanger?
100%.
100%. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
They filmed the seasons back to back, so it's basically
100%.
Season 3 is going to be basically season 2.1 or whatever.
Yeah, it's all one big season.
Except I think it's going to be a little bit different than what most people. I think that what's going to happen is the story is actually going to be completely resolved, but then Picard is going to go into a public restroom, and he's going to sit down on the toilet. And as he's sitting on the toilet, you're going to see him go, and the camera's going to slowly come into his face, and he's going to be like, and then it's going to cut to black and say to be continued.
Oh, look, guys, Terry Metalis is completely and solely in charge of season 3. No more Akiva Goldsman. No one else.
Yeah.
Just Terry. And I think we're gonna.
I think season 3 is going to be good. I do.
I think season 3 is going to be good.
What do you guys?
I think you're on track.
love your guys'
because
optimism.
Terry
It's so
Metalis
cute.
started with season 2 and then took off to do season 3 and let Akiva Goldsman handle season 2.
I think they're putting as like, hey guys, look, the next generation crew's coming in, and we're all gonna go, oh god, I've been wanting to see this for 20 years, and and then we're all gonna watch the first 2 episodes of season 3, and we're gonna think, oh yeah, this is pretty cool, it's got some potential, and then by the time season 4 gets there, we're gonna say,
there is no season 4.
Deja vu.
Episode
He means
4,
episode 3 or 4, and I'm like,
yeah, and it's just
deja
that's how
vu,
the show
man.
rules.
That's
It's
exactly
possible,
how it
Vader,
is.
but you know what? You will be here on Saturdays with us.
I don't know if I will.
bro.
I don't know if I will. I don't even know if we're gonna do season 3.
You know what? We're going to tie you up with duct tape just so that you can be here with us.
I would rather watch somebody play fucking Galaxian on Twitch than watch this stupid show
What's
any further.
Galaxian?
See, exactly.
It's an old video game before you were born.
No.
probably.
I'm with Vader on this. This is destroying my memories of Picard, and like I think I said it last
All right,
week.
Brian, you and I will do Saturdays.
Yeah. So Matt, what if I'm right though about next week?
You're
Will
not.
you be a little more on board for season 3 if I'm right about next week?
I mean, it's not like I'm not going to watch season 3 because I have to somehow torture
If
myself.
I'm right
for an
about
hour
next
every
week though, will you
What?
guys be a little more on board?
No.
No, not at all. If they
Not
do
really.
exactly what I said.
Well, they're not. First of all,
I'm not
But
saying,
even
that's
if-
not the
even if-
question though. The
even,
question
even
is
if they do, even if they do, they have burned every molecule of goodwill that I ever had for this show. So I just
You
don't-
actually had a molecule of goodwill.
Yes, man.
for the
Go
show.
back and watch
I did,
episode
yeah.
1 and 2. Our reviews of episode 1 and 2. All of us were like,
Yeah, we all
had
liked it.
hope.
No, you were
All
like
of
saying, "I'm cautiously pessimistic."
No.
That's
all
what
of us had hope. Go back. No. Go
That's what
it's on
Vader
YouTube.
said. I'm
No,
cautiously
no,
pessimistic.
Well, go
Because-
back to our season 1 reviews where we were like, we're really hoping that this is good, and then
Yeah.
it just got worse and worse.
The-
Let me
yeah.
ask you guys: do you guys think that Rios is going to stay in the past with his lady love?
I'm still wanting. I'm still thinking Rios is going to repopulate Mexicans in the future.
That's so racist.
To answer you without a
It's
joke,
not racist.
I don't believe he
He's
wants
not even
to.
Mexican, bro.
I
That's
do
why it's
believe
racist.
he's gonna be forced to.
You think he's going
think
to be
he's gonna
forced to stay in the past?
I'm simply, and it's not racist because I'm simply
I think-
using the writing skills of the writers of this show.
This comment is great. I think so. I early on I said I thought he was going to stay in the past, but now I think because of all of the nods they've given to Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, and in the fact that he brought them to the ship and they've seen too much. Now I'm of the opinion he's going to bring them to the future with him. That's kind of where I'm at now. But one of the two is going to happen. You know what I mean? Because
Well, he's got to bring them to the future. I mean,
Yeah.
so that they can repopulate.
Well,
I mean,
no,
what
stop
doc-
saying that. Jesus,
what, they
man.
need a doctor that's an expert on Mexicans.
I'll tell you
Stop.
exactly.
She's
I'll
not
tell
even
you-
Mexican.
Shut
Yeah,
up.
I think it's
Shut the
really
fuck up.
problematic, though.
Shush. I want
Shush.
to talk.
Oh, I didn't even know you were talking. Go ahead.
Here's what's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen with Girardi or with Rios and his girlfriend because they're just going to put it aside and expect us to forget about it. That's what's going to happen.
What? He just made
So-
out with her in this episode.
Yeah. And he's saying, "Oh, I got to go back to the future," and who cares? It's
Well,
done. It's over.
here's
Nothing's
the
going to happen
thing.
with that storyline.
Here's the thing: immigrant doctor knows how to work all 24th century medical devices somehow.
Yes.
So he's going to bring her to the future, and she's just going to be a doctor in the future.
That's interesting, right? Like she's like, which one of these things like can I get a bullet out with? Which I thought was interesting. I thought he got hit with like a phaser, not a bullet.
No, it's a
No,
machine
it was,
gun.
it was a bullet.
Was it a yeah, so
Yeah.
then she like, you know, has the like he was like the medical tricorder and then they cut away, but like how did she know how to yeah, you're right, man. How did she know how to use that? I mean,
Because she's the bestest ever. What are you doing, Mike?
I have something I want to say.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so what's going to happen is after they get to the future, a giant mariachi band is going to be floating over the planet. And only they're going to be able to communicate.
Thought you were gonna say something normal.
And so, thanks to their bringing Mexicans back to the future.
what is it with you? They're like, man, like look,
I like.
my fiance is Guatemalan. And the only
Yeah.
reason I'm so sensitive to you keep saying repopulate Mexicans is because they're not all Mexicans, bro. You
I
just say-
understand, but I'm also thinking about the skill of the writers of this show.
My wife is Mexican. I don't really care at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but well,
fine.
that's because he's saying Mexican, and they've already established he's like, I'm not from outer space. I'm from Chile. I just work in outer space.
I think you're right. I don't think the writers actually know that there are different people south of the border that aren't Mexicans. I think in their minds they're just, oh yeah, those are all Mexicans, right?
Oh God, you guys, we're getting canceled.
Not me.
All right, let's go. Like let's move on to final thoughts. We're like, if you don't mind. I mean, I'm sorry, it's not my
Final
job.
thoughts. We're not even. We're like, are we done yet already?
Oh, Jesus.
We are. We
Almost
covered
2
it.
hours.
Dude, we've been on here for
we-
2 hours. I'm getting
Yeah,
like,
we covered everything I wanted to cover. Matt Vader 74. What are your final thoughts on this episode and predictions for the finale?
My thoughts are it's crap, and I don't really care what happens in the future. It's just
Yeah, you're pretty checked out, aren't you?
yeah, I don't know what to say. I gotta figure it out. So yeah, makes no sense. Nothing makes any sense. And I hate time travel nonsense, especially when it doesn't make any sense. And this doesn't make any sense. And I don't care. I've never gotten to have any buy-in to any of these characters on this show, and the way they're portrayed and the way their relationships are supposed to be, it doesn't make any sense. And I want it over with. I want season 3 over with, so I can try to go back and remember my Captain Picard the way he's supposed to be from 1989 or whatever. So yeah, I need this show to be over. I've never been more happy that there was a series that only had 10 episodes. Usually I want 20, but no, fuck this show, dude.
Vader, can I
I'm
ask you
over
a
it.
question about what you just said,
Mhm.
please?
Yes.
So you said you're not invested in any of the characters, but we've got Picard, we've got Q.
This isn't
you're not-
Picard. It's not Q.
I don't know.
It's-
Q
it's-
seems
it's-
like Q to me.
it's-
They're just not
it's-
using him enough. He wasn't in this last episode at all.
It's
which pissed me off.
Synthicard.
We didn't even
That's what
talk
it is.
about that. We didn't even talk about the fact Q wasn't in this episode.
Well,
Yeah,
he's never in it. So
Save it for your final thoughts, Danny. Let's let
Okay,
me
sorry.
jump in.
I don't have anything else to say. It just nothing makes any sense. It's just a poor show. I don't know what else to say. I get I don't know if I can. I'm gonna have to go to a thesaurus and start doing the making up words for bad, like I had to do on the podcast when we were watching. What was that
Invasion.
terrible show? Invasion.
Invasion.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous.
All right.
So-
So Salty Trekker,
Yes, sir.
what are your final thoughts for this episode and predictions for the season finale?
I'm seriously thinking now. After I'm building a new computer, and I'm gonna start trying to relearn how to do some 3D work and stuff. So I'm seriously thinking about trying to edit together some footage from Star Trek 4 and replacing the whale probe with a giant chili pepper.
Oh my god!
And like, yeah, we're gonna make this happen, buddy. This is gonna be awesome, and have Rios repopulate the Mexicans and make it happen. Anyway, the
Can't you just say Latinos? Can we? Come on.
Latin
no,
X
because
is
if you say
Danny.
Mexicans, it's so grating. That's the point. that's because it reeks of ignorance. But the honestly, the series is showing that I think that honestly they had. It's funny because with Picard season 1, this is what I was saying the other day about it. But Picard season 1, they had a beginning, they had a middle, they had no ending. So they were cruising along, and then all of a sudden, at the midpoint, the season just spun out of control, and they went nowhere and had flowers taking down Borg cubes. Right.
It's true.
This season, it seems like they had a beginning and an ending and no middle. And so the problem is they had a good start. They know where they want to go, but they had no idea how to get there. So they just kind of threw obstacles in the way and side quests to try and delay them getting there. And I think that's really why. Oh, and threw in a super sticker there.
Super sticker.
So I think that's really what we've been running into, is just that all these pointless delays in getting to where we're going, and I think that's what's been really frustrating. I agree that the run of the bulls was just stupid. I agree that having more Q would be good.
I prefer the run of the dikes. Doesn't that sound better? Sounds like
Oh my God, you guys! Jesus Christ!
Wow, and you get mad at me for saying Mexicans.
Well,
At least Mexicans is not a derogative term.
You're both going to get muted here in a second.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that there's I do think that the series is heading towards an ending that I'm looking forward to. I have enjoyed it obviously more than most of you on this panel, but I do see that it's definitely got its flaws. It feels a lot more like Star Trek than Picard season 1 or Discovery seasons 1 through 3 for sure. But it's still got a long ways to go.
Okay. Danny, let's hear your final thoughts on episode 9 and your predictions for the finale.
All right. Episode 9. So my favorite part of this season has been Q. And Q wasn't in this episode at all, right? Wasn't even in a single frame.
I have a question, Danny.
Yeah.
For you. How can Q be your favorite part of this season when he's been in the show for a total of 4 minutes?
Exactly.
So how can he be your favorite part? He hasn't been on the show. He's done this. Oh, shit, my snapper doesn't work.
Mom, we're about to wrap up. You could wait 2 minutes. Good Lord. Anyway, but if you're leaving, bye. Love you. I'll call you later.
Riveting.
Thank you. Here's the thing. That's why, like, they teased me. Like, this was supposed to be the Q, like, because I hate that my mom's leaving, but that was my biggest beef with all the next gen movies, that Q wasn't in any of them. Q should have been in at least one of them, as if not the big baddie, as like a big plot point in one of them. Q was such an integral part of next gen. You know what I mean? And not just next gen. I mean, he crossed over into Voyager. He was even in. He got knocked out by
Cisco.
Cisco, thank you. Yeah, in Deep Space Nine. You know what I mean? So like, to not have him in the movies, I thought was a big failed opportunity, and so I was so excited. And every time you see John Delancey on screen in Picard, it's the best, in my opinion anyway. It's the best part of the show. He just chews up the scenery. He just does like I think was it last week when he was in the Oculus thing
The
that she was
VR,
wearing?
yeah.
Yeah. Like that was so like God, it was so good. And to not even have him in this episode, like I mean, in all the other BS that went on in this episode, I just no, this was the worst. I'm sorry, but like in my opinion, this was the worst episode of Star Trek I've ever seen in my life, and I'm including everything of Enterprise with that. This was just terrible.
Mhm.
Those are my final
So do you-
thoughts. Sorry.
Do you have any predictions for the finale?
Predictions. Well, we know it's definitely going to end on a cliffhanger. It's probably going to be. Let's see. So they're going to fail their mission. Q's going to have to save the day. He'll snap in the next gen crew, and then that'll probably kill him. And probably use his last ounce of juice for that.
They're not gonna kill Q. I don't think.
I hope not, but they're just these writers suck so bad. That's probably what's going to happen.
Did you take my bet and then also predict my ending?
Yes, because I'm a glutton for punishment.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. So I just don't think. I'm not. I really hope you guys don't want to cover this. Like,
we're going to be covering it.
Oh,
So
God.
let's go to Brian. Brian, what are your final thoughts? And you already kind of shared your prediction for the finale, but let's hear a abbreviated version.
Declaration. Not Laris in some way will take Renee's place. Whether she takes her place to die so that Renee can go on the mission, or Renee dies and Not Laris uses her tech to go on the mission. One of the two. Not Laris is using that tech to masquerade as Renee. Additionally, most of what they do is going to fail, and Q is going to come in the last second at Chateau Picard when Picard is down on his luck and all is lost, and he's gonna tell Picard he loves him. He's gonna gingerly kiss his face. And then he's going to snap. I'm joking about the last part. He's going to snap his fingers or whatever.
Oh, that
With
hurts
his
my feelings. I
With
really
his last
thought he
bit
was
of power, he's going to bring the TNG crew back. And if it kills him, that would be an epic send-off for Q.
If he has enough power to send the next generation crew back, why doesn't he just use his power to send this crew back to where they belong in the future?
Because they can't go back to the future because the future is corrupted. They need to snip the branch before they can go back to the future.
Okay.
You're just giving the writers too much credit.
No, I'm telling you, if he sends them back to the future, it all happens again. It doesn't work. You need to snip the branch.
I'm starting to get with Kadish and just starting to really despise time travel stories.
I get it, boys and girls, but that's my
Oh,
ending.
man.
As far as my wrap up, this episode, there was parts that were good and a lot of parts that were bad, and sort of a mixed bag. So.
Whoa, what was good? What was good?
So, well, hold on. Like we talked about it throughout the course of the episode. So my final thoughts are: this is one of the worst episodes of TV I think I've ever seen in my life. It was lazily written. It was terribly written. It disrespects. I feel dumber for having watched this episode. That's how bad it was. The assassination of everything we loved about Jean-Luc Picard continues. It's going to culminate in the next season. I don't have any hope for this show. I think it's one of the worst entries in Star Trek I've ever seen, and I hate it. I hate it with every fiber of my being. It is insulting to me that it is being made and still going and is as bad as it is. This should be the flagship show of Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
This should be something that we all talk about every week and love and gush over. Yeah. And it's not, and it's getting worse as time goes on.
I don't want you to, please don't take this the wrong way, but I hate that I agree with you wholeheartedly.
That's fine. So those are my thoughts on this episode. It's probably the worst episode of Star Trek Picard we've ever gotten, and the worst episode of any Star Trek we've ever gotten, at least in my opinion.
No, I agree. 100%.
And I think that Brian's prediction for the finale is too good. And the writers aren't going to do it because
it's too well thought out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everything the Popcast guys do is so well thought out. They should be the ones writing these episodes, but because they're
Right.
not, we're gonna get something really stupid
Yeah.
for the finale, and of course we're gonna see the whole TNG cast show up at some point that leads into season 3, and season 3 is going to be an even bigger dumpster fire than season 2 is, in my opinion. So that's it. But I do want to give us a little ray of hope, because next week, in addition to talking about the finale of Picard, we're going to be talking about the premiere of Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds. Yes,
So-
that I hope they don't shit on my hopes.
You know
for
what?
that.
You know what? That makes me happy. That makes me happy because that means we won't have to talk about Picard that long.
Yeah.
We can go into Strange New Worlds.
Wow. It's going to be a longer show, you
Dude,
know.
did you notice? Did you guys
No, it's
see
not.
No, did you guys see the promo? It was very reminiscent of the motion picture where like the shell craft going around the ship and.
Oh, I
you
haven't
see
seen
that?
that one.
Yeah,
So,
no, yeah.
Title
I think
sequence.
I think that we're going to go into Strange New Worlds very hopeful and very excited, and then we're going to be slowly crushed by the reality of how bad it's going to be.
That's exactly
So
what's going to happen.
That's just my opinion. Anyway, guys,
Wow.
I want to thank our panel for showing up yet again on Saturday to bitch about Star Trek. It's not easy for everyone, but we really appreciate you guys coming in. Michael, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the socials and where they can see more of your
Well, you
stuff?
can find me here on YouTube at Salty Trekker. My big thing is every Friday night we watch really bad movies on the Mystery Movie Night with Matthew. Last night we watched the incredible double feature of Killer Sofa and The Amazing Bulk. And if you have not seen
Killer Sofa is a good movie. I
yeah,
like
if
need
you have
to watch
not seen either of those movies, oh man, are those some those are some movies.
I'm surprised you were able to get through Incredible Bulk.
Oh man, I've seen Incredible Bulk before. It is an amazing movie. I'm sorry, it's Amazing Bulk. I forgot it's the Amazing Bulk. Yeah, it's boy, that's a movie.
I would like to suggest that you guys watch this gem called Wolf Cop on one of your evenings.
Wolf Cop.
Yes.
Wolf Cop.
Yes.
Yes,
Ooh.
Wolf Cop, and then another Wolf Cop, the sequel.
Yes.
Another Wolf Cop.
Yes.
Another
Yeah.
Wolf Cop.
Oh, that sounds like a classic.
Anyway,
Good
guys,
stuff.
check out Salty Trekker's YouTube channel. He's got a lot of fun stuff going on over there. Danny, why don't you tell people where they can find out more about you and what you're doing?
Yeah, for sure. So today, like I said, I'm representing the Las Vegas Cosplayers Alliance. It's a local to Las Vegas 501c3 nonprofit organization. We're a children's charity, and today we're at Brad's Toys. That's why I have this weird. I'm in the back, so it's not too loud. And we're doing an event today, for kids. But as far as me personally, you can find me, where am I at? Right there, Dork Night LV on all the socials. And I really appreciate you guys always having me on and being so good to me. And on May the 4th, Star Wars Day, for those of you in Vegas, we're doing an event at the Millennium Fandom Bar. We're raffling off a ginormous Millennium Falcon prop. It's 14 feet by 9 feet by 2 feet. It's freaking huge. So if you want to hang that thing up in your house or your garage, or if you own a business and want to hang it up there, come out. 100% of this was donated to us, so 100% of the proceeds go to our charity, and we help kids who are going through grief, who are homeless, who have been abused, who are in hospitals. Just check us out, Cosplayers Alliance. That's CAUSE, not COS. Cossplayersalliance.org. I would appreciate it, and thanks, man. Love you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, right on. And last but certainly not least, Brian, where can people go check out your theory videos and all that good stuff?
The Popcast and the Popcast Live. Popcast Live for these kind of shows, and the Popcast, just youtube.com/the Popcast for our main stuff. And I just dropped a video today, and it's not about Picard. It's actually just a fun video about the various pandemics throughout sci-fi history.
Well, thank God. I need to wash this Picard out of my mouth. So
Let me tell you something.
You have Picard in your mouth?
The Popcast guys, the Popcast guys channel is a million times more entertaining than anything it's actually on Star Trek TV right now. So go check it out. I love those guys.
Thanks, man. Thank you,
dude. No,
Yeah,
especially
it's
your
very
one
good
with the What's the one where your brother, where you guys do they're almost like documentary style videos?
That's
or
our
whatever?
prime. That's our prime
That's
channel.
all of them. Yeah.
No, they have one that's Unleashed, and then they have the other one. The other one, those are like top.
The main
tier.
channel, yeah, just
your main
youtube.com/the
channel.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some great shit, dude.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Thanks, bro.
Vader, where can people find out more about you?
Oh, I think I'm going to turn all my social media off for about 6 weeks and go decompress. No, you can find me at Matt Vader 74 on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, yada yada yada, and but mostly on the Salty Nerd podcast. That's where I hang out with Matthew, and we do our thing every week. It's a lot of fun, and we enjoy doing it. So,
I forgot to mention Discord. That's where I'm at a lot. What's it? Salty Nerd Discord.
SaltyNerdDiscord.com.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, join us on there. It's a lot of fun.
All right, guys. Thank you all for coming every Saturday to hear us bitch about Star Trek. We really appreciate it. We appreciate all of you who gave us super chats and super stickers. You guys are great. Thank you for helping support the show. Thank you for tuning in. We also hit a record of 70 concurrent viewers, which is big for us.
Yeah,
anyway.
nice.
And our Star Trek discussions are always our most viewed live streams after the fact. So thank you all for watching. We really appreciate all that good stuff. And join us next week as we talk about the end of Star Trek Picard and the beginning of Strange New Worlds. And we're going to keep the Star Trek train going for at least the immediate future. And we appreciate everything you guys do for us. Thank you so much, and stay salty, my friends.